Hi everyone, tonight we're going to be talking about library vendors. A lot of these I got from my school librarian, who is amazing, and I learned a lot from her, not only about where she gets most of her materials, but also how to find good materials. And then she was very helpful and transparent about sharing like pricing of subscriptions and things like that. So some of the ones that I've listed. So for books, Tidal Wave, Ingram, and Capstone is where our library gets most of its books from. She also mentioned that Amazon is a great source, especially whenever we're looking just to replace a book quickly rather than developing our collection, really. But those three are great resources, especially Follett Tidal Wave. Furniture, Space Saver, Buzzy Space, and Herman Miller. Buzzy Space is the one that I spent a lot of time with because it's pretty cool. Their fabric is sound absorbing, and so a lot of their furniture pieces are meant to help absorb sound and make the room quieter. Makerspace Materials, Amazon Demco, and EAI Education. They all had a wide variety of different things for all different interests and grade levels, which is really cool. And I think it can be helpful, especially if you're very much committed into like establishing a STEM program or a makerspace facility within your library. And then the technology tools, Swank K through 12 is like a streaming platform that kind of compiles age appropriate movies from all different streaming platforms into one place, and it's pretty cheap. But it also divides it by age. So, like, if you were looking for a 10 through 14 range, you could select that, and then it would only provide you with shows and movies that match those requirements. And then Overdrive is actually Solus, but it is the Solus is the K through 12 version, the student version of the library app, essentially, and it's got lots of ebooks, magazines, audiobooks, things like that. And then Gale Cengage, as well as our database, but I actually ended up going with EBSCO. Supplies and decor, Oriental Trading Company, obviously. The ALA has a store, and there's actually a lot of cute stuff on there, a lot of informational posters, and then also the library store. So, first off, on my budget, I started with the Buzzy Space Cube. Okay, they're really cool. They look like in the picture, and they're constructed with sound absorbing fabric. And so, having flexible seating really encourages kids, especially middle school kids, to want to come into a room and hang out there. And so, I think having these in the library, not only are they sound absorbing, but they look cute, and they can also encourage kids to want to come hang out and be in this space. I also have been pretty into this idea of cubelets recently. I don't know why. Ever since I found out about them, whenever I was making my makerspace materials list, I just think they're so cool because they are like little modular blocks that perform different functions. So they can like teach coding, engineering, and then as well as coding systems and languages without actually needing to then write the code. So it's like introducing the students to code and to computer engineering and software engineering without them actually having to write anything yet, which is really cool because then it kind of helps them problem solve and also get familiar with that environment. And then games and puzzles. I think these are super important to have in the library because they're good at inviting kids into the library and making them think that this is a great place to be, even if they don't think of themselves as big readers or they're intimidated by the library. Having games and puzzles and things like that and things for them to do is helpful and can encourage them to come into the room. And then also this 3D Doodlers kit. Honestly, I just thought it was really cool for a makerspace. I feel like a lot of the things in makerspaces are very like robotics heavy and engineering and coding heavy, even with the cubelets that I think are so cool. So this is a bit more creative and kind of has to do with 3D printing and art. And this kit that I found on EAI Education comes with a lot of stuff for a really good value. And it has like challenge cards in it. And so it already provides different prompts and activities for the kids to do and try and explore, which is really cool. And then Swank K through 12, it's that streaming service I mentioned. It's sorted by age and kind of proofs what videos are available for kids already, and it's a lot cheaper than having multiple different subscriptions. Sora is the Overdrive subscription. It's kind of pricey, but because it has so many ebooks and magazines and audiobooks and things like that, it's super helpful. And it can be really helpful to teachers who have kids with learning differences in their class who need to require audiobooks. They don't have to worry about buying them or supplying them or using Audible or whatever. We can just do it all through Sora, which is really cool. So I think that's a worthwhile investment. And if a lot of students now use iPads, and so they're given those by school, and so you can download the app on the iPad and have it pre-installed, so they can easily just say, I want to read this today. Or if a teacher needs a kid to get an audiobook quickly, they can just do it through Sora. EBSCOhost, so the K through 8 collection. It is also pricey, not as pricey as like JSTOR or even Gale Cengage. That's why I changed my mind about Gale, honestly. Even though I think it's a great deal, I think for my middle school at least, I would probably go EBSCO just because it is a little bit cheaper. But it also has all of the things needed to teach them the basic information and research skills that they need to be successful in later years of schooling. I think high school, I would definitely go both, or even look at JSTOR as well. But I think for now, EBSCO is really helpful. And then these are just some cute little decor things I found. It's important to make your library inviting and interesting and make students want to be there. One of my favorite compliments that I get, even as a classroom teacher, is that everyone loves my room. They want to hang out in there. They like it. They think it's comfortable and inviting. And I think if you create that environment, the kids are more willing to come in there and hang out there. Even if they don't think of themselves as like a library person, they might be more willing to give it a shot if they're willing to go in. And then Tidal Wave. I allotted myself a lot of Tidal Wave money. I originally started with about $1,500 and then changed my mind. I was like, that's not enough. And so since their cataloging and database services are free, it is important to recognize that their books are a little bit more expensive than Amazon books. Their hardcovers cost between $21 and $24 based upon my looking at the age level that I was looking for books at. And then paperbacks are around 14 to 16 instead of like on Amazon where they'd be like 10, 12. And so I've chosen to allot $2,000 for new books and collection development throughout the school year. So that would amount to about 95 new hardback books, and then even more paperback, or if we did some combination. That way we could amass as much as possible and also not have to worry if maybe we lost a series or if something came out or if we had a lot of replacements that needed to be done. We could still do that while also having enough to collect new books. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.